Hello, everybody. My name is Ken Rock. Sorry it took so long. I've been a bit lazy to want to actually do this. I'm gonna make sure it's already full screen. This will be what was his name again? Social Society. Social Scalar versus VBS. He claims that Undertale isn't nearly as fast as people say that it is. I disagree with the majority of this video, so let's not waste too much time and get straight into this. And Social Scalar, if you see this, I did wait for us to debate. It is partially my fault that we didn't get to. I did get busy on Saturday, but you haven't actually responded to me since then. So if you decide that you want to debate after seeing this, then that's fair. If not, then whatever. We'll just be done with it after this. Anyway, let's get into it. Oh, I forgot to say, he doesn't actually talk to this video, so I will be reading out loud on the important key parts. You will see everything, so if you think that I misrepresented something, just let me know, but... Are you saying like they should be like higher than that? Because I agree if they are higher. If lower, then I mean I can't wait to see that video. Today I want to be a horrible misconception about Undertale's characters. Okay, let's go into the argument. I would like to add that I do not condone hate towards the other people who made or support this scale. I am simply showing my point on why the scale is terrible in my point of view. I'm doing the same here, so I guess realistically I should say don't go hating this person just because we disagree with this. It's just a video game, people. Let's go. Magic attacks aren't the real thing. I don't know what that has to do with speed. Alright, so this is mainly where the most of the severe speed arguments come from. They use such things such as falcing using lightning, actual lightning, therefore lightning speed, or greater dog sparks attacks being the speed of sound because they are real sound. I mean, they are real sound. They're his actual barks, but let's see where you go with this. The arguments for magic attacks being equal to the real thing. Equal to the real thing bases itself on some scenes, the first two being fire magic from Toriel and pyrope working as real fire. It's their proof. Okay. This is a very weak argument for a multitude of reasons, but an easy way to debunk this is the fact that fire magic is shown to also simply come with temperature manipulation. I mean, that doesn't mean it's not fire, but fire does have different ranges of temperature from like stuff that's like as hot as like welding fire, which is stated to can be like put up to like temperatures like around the sun, and then there's like cold fire, which is like not able to excite like protons or anything from like anything else and can't even catch anything else on fire. So like fire does have like massively different like ranges of temperature in it. Toriel is able to change the temperature of her own fire from the ability to cook to simply being able to warm to the point she could put the arm in it. That doesn't disprove it being a fire though. That only is there like examples of like real fire, like getting to the point where like you can actually put your hand in it without like burning yourself. But just because she can control like how hot something is doesn't mean it's not that thing. Like you stated here, it's fire magic. It's in the name. Also, the fire is in the name. Either you accept that being able to cook food or being hot for pyro is not proof for it being such working like real fire. That's not how that works. Or you just simply agree that the fire is not real. It's not real due to it simply being warm. No, again, we have like there are examples in real life of like fire like having massively different temperatures. Again, look at cold fire. You can touch cold fire without burning yourself. Undyne also goes out of her way to use the word fire magic. Why would? Because it's made with fire magic. Like no one's saying like fire and fire magic aren't like different in some regards, or like it doesn't come from a different source. But they're still fire. That'd be like saying it's an electrical fire, and gas fires are like only one of those can be fires because they're like stated different. Like no, there's different methods on how they're made, different methods on how to deal with them, and all that. So like, just because there's like this like difference being pointed out between the two doesn't necessarily mean that they both aren't fire. Next argument is sands and fire bones, the actual ones, where they hyperlink this. To this, I'm sorry, but where the hell is the proof that these are actual bones? We see the bones. So if a magician takes out a magic endless ribbon, it would be magical endless ribbon, by the way, from a magic hat, then it means this ribbon is actually in this. No, but it does mean it is a ribbon, even if it's stated to simply be magic. So the problem here is, one, this right here, it's describing the quantity, not what the thing is. It's still a ribbon. And two, we know that the magician is doing a trick. Up here, this is actual magic. So the two aren't comparable at all. Also, this argument as a whole is dismissed via being a false equivalency. Not only is this argument itself a false equivalency, but this right here is the fallacy. You're arguing that something is automatically wrong because it's based off of fallacious argumentation. So if that's the case, then your argument is automatically dismissed based off the fact that it's also a fallacy. On using actual electricity from the core and being a robot. Well, isn't it funny they mentioned Metatron's core, since funny enough the core is what debunks this whole argument, which would already not be suitable at all. Here Alpha says that all the power from the underground comes from from the core. Following this logic, Metatron's robotic body works on the same source of the core. What? Why? It is then confirmed by Alphas that this source is simply magic, in this case, magical electricity, so even Metatron's robot body works on a type of magic, making their whole point about it's still electricity, though. It's just electricity that's made with magic, just like with the other one. It's just fire made with magic. Like, you can't discredit the thing from being the thing just because the source is different than what you're used to it being made from. You can get fire from other things besides like just like heat and pressure. And you can get electricity from other sources as well. Like, it's not like something doesn't stop being its thing because its thing isn't made from something that you accept. Last argument, so I'm okay with this not being actual false argument. I don't care about it. And another fallacy, assuming that you've explained something just by naming it. Falcon saying thunder doesn't actually make lightning. The only real property here is it comes from a cloud, which is not, I mean, look, if we're going with your line of logic here, then that's not a real cloud, which is not enough by itself, especially since the cloud itself is also magic. they are also literally underground. Zero clouds there. It snows underground, and it rains. Like, these things only happen with like clouds, and like, even if it's like magic, again, still it's like a magical cloud. It's still a cloud. And the summoned cloud has a smile. It is most obviously magic attack ever. I'm fine with it being magic, and again, I'm okay with it not being lightning. But like, your reasonings here doesn't disprove the idea that it's shooting actual lightning, even if it does come from magic itself. And also, right here is the reason why I say don't use fallacies if you don't know how to use them, because I can just argue the fallacy again here, because you haven't described why this invalidates this. All you're saying is this is a fallacy, and this fallacy describes this thing, therefore this is automatically wrong. Supporting arguments in my favor, the only reason why monsters can even affect the human souls is through the body itself. This is why they were able to take out this role. The only reason why monsters... What? The only reason why monsters can't even affect the human soul is through the body itself. I don't know what that means. This is why, like, are you saying like they can only affect the human soul by attacking the body? This is why they were able to take out their souls from the other humans. Frisk was able to waver when damaged, etc. I mean, most human souls seem to be able to do that if that's the case, because they had like a whole war. This is all done via their magic. Conventional attacks obviously wouldn't do anything to their soul if their real thing was what was able to do this. None of the monsters would need to use magic at all, nor would they be able to extract souls. I mean, the soul just seems to linger outside of the body for a couple of seconds in this universe. I don't think that has anything to do with magic. Because when a human kills a monster, you get the same effect. The only difference is the monster soul can't do the same as the human soul, so it just destroys itself. And humans don't have magic, so that doesn't mean anything. They attack with magic as well. I mean, that's how they fight. So, I mean, if they could use like just flat out fire, I mean, maybe. But even then, like, it's harder to control like fire that's made with like gas, electricity, and all that. So why wouldn't they just use their magic attack if they could do that? It seems a lot more efficient to use their magic than like actual like lightning and all that, which requires like a lot more timing and mechanical prep and all that. So that doesn't make any sense either. Saying real properties attacks are able to do. No one said that. No one said that the real attacks had the same property. Like, everyone acknowledges that they're based on magic. Also, what does this have to do with speed so far? I mean, I can see lightning, but the real property, lightning / electrification, doesn't shock Frisk. Meanwhile, the puzzle electricity is shown to do it. And even to their soul, in that case, a Metadon slowing us down. Even so, which one is it? Which one is real? The one that Frisk can't dodge and is shown to actually have shock properties, or the one that Frisk dodges like it's nothing and takes... Okay, so both of these Frisk takes damage from. This one, you just don't see the HP for it, but he does, like, on this scenario, if you stepped on it from this tile, he would go back to this tile. Like, if this didn't affect him at all, then he wouldn't move. And as far as dodging, like, if you're talking about this one for dodging, then, like, he's all, like, they're directly on that tile. Like, you're not going to be able to dodge that. And this one right here, like, they take damage here, and, like, you admit it, like, Metaton slows them down. And even taking that into account, lightning and all that can have, like, different speeds depending on, like, the media that it's going through, and it got different levels of, like, power depending on its voltage. So they both can be real and have these different properties. It doesn't disprove anything. That didn't disprove that the attacks aren't what they are. So, not the best. The calculation. Now that magical. Sorry about that. Now that magic attacks selection is done, we. These two won't actually be touched since they are correct and I have no problems with them. The barks are never proven to be actual sound. The entire calculation. Okay, so why aren't they actually sound? Because they come from the dog's mouth and they're clearly meant to be like the representation of a bark, but in magic form. So why wouldn't they have the speed of like sound? And no, just saying it's because it's magic doesn't disprove that. All you're doing is telling me the source that it came from. And for anyone who's already wondering why I'm not doing the rest of this, I've already did that in the other one. Also, assuming that all others are the same would be an association fallacy. Fallacy, but you're the one who's making this argument. You're the one arguing these, even if like these other things aren't real, like they're your proof to why this wouldn't be actual sound. So you're the one making the fallacy. You're the one making both. I don't care about the right one as far as like meteors. Like Chris dodges as real like summoning like meteors themselves as well. Like the one stars. This is simply what I would already debunk. I mean, as far as like lightning, I agree that that's not actual lightning. Besides, like Frisk has like actual like other lightning feats anyway, even ignoring that. But you never actually told us like why Falcon's lightning isn't actual lightning outside of just it's made from magic, therefore it can't be real lightning. Essentially, the way it works is since the CT in the game increases your speed by 0.25 and can be stacked up to 2 times the speed now. This has no problem to be scaled towards first travel speed. Now, okay. The problem here is they decided to do the thing with Sand's speed. Sand actually has some pretty crazy speed, but while CT does increase the speed, their combat speed is ever not shown to be changed. Their slash speed is always shown to be the same no matter how many Ts. That's just game mechanics. Like, the ability to dodge and all that is part of, like, combat speed. No, I don't care about the travel speed here. I do not care about travel speed. I care about the reaction speed and the combat speed, which are 2 different things, by the way. I don't know why you have them as one. But, like, Frisk being able to dodge faster attacks based off this T, like, shows, like, their combat speed alone is enough to be faster. Because if they can move and dodge faster, then yes, they'd be able to attack faster. Those 2 things just kind of go hand in hand. This is officially shown to not be the case. In the CT using it as such. We're talking about combat, right? We're just talking about speed overall. So in conclusion, with all these only 2 of the 6 calculations. You only given like 3 reasons why you don't think it's correct, and a lot of them are just like this one attack isn't like real, therefore these speeds just don't work. Like, you didn't even tell us like why they weren't real outside of just, well, they're made of magic, therefore they can't be. I want to get to the real stuff. I know it's going to happen, but this is it. Spoilers for Genocide and the End of Pacifist, by the way. This is the part I realistically care about, because if Frisk can't be shown to have this level of speed, then by definition... Oops. Sorry about that. Then by default, like, Frisk would have the other speeds. The main belief of Frisk and Azure be having immeasurable speed is all stems to the fact that Frisk outran the time-destroying ability of the Hypergoner. Everything that suggests that this ability even destroyed any part of the timeline, or even require this amount of speed to outrun, is only based on a misinterpretation of words in which he states that he will purge the timeline. Let's look up the definition of purge real fast. The definition of purge would be to remove a group of people considering undesirables from an organization or place. The physical removal or expel something completely. To rid someone or something of an unwanted quality. To remove. Yeah, so basically to remove, destroy. So when he says that you can literally just change purge with remove this timeline or to destroy this timeline. But let's see what you have to say on this. Although at first glance it seems that way, but every point to the exact opposite, as if you really think about it, purge isn't exactly the annihilation of something. No, the word annihilation actually, at least for me, it didn't come out of my mouth. It's the destruction or removal or something. Instead, it implies that Azure will cleanse the timeline. How do we know this? I mean, to destroy or remove something would cleanse it, but whatever. Well, from the very start, before the attack happens, we know that Azrael just wants to reset everything. By gaining control of the timeline, not only does this idea of him destroying the timeline conflict with Azrael's plans from the get-go, but it completely messes up the whole point of the restart's purpose, that it was meant to reset time without a timeline. Flowey destroys your save file, which would be your timeline, and then he recreates it. If Azrael were to attack you from that point on, they would know that they would need something beyond like a universal level attack in order to defeat you. And this Azrael, being stronger than that, Flowey should be more than capable of recreating the timeline if Flowey can. So he can both destroy the timeline completely and still reset it via his ability to recreate it. And we know this is definitely more likely the case, because right after he does that attack, he's actually surprised that you survived. And it doesn't make sense that he'd be surprised that you survived if he'd already done Universal Eraser with Flowey. Furthermore, it is illogical to say he was going to destroy it anyway due to his lack of care for it, when there is nothing supporting such a claim. He makes it very clear when after he uses that ability that the attack was made for Frisk specifically. Yes, and it goes back to what I was talking about with Omega Photoshop Flowey. Photoshop Flowey tried to beat Frisk with like universal level attacks and failed. Frisk is the main reason behind his attempt to draw all their progress back to zero, and to say it was made for the timeline is to go against what he's actively trying to do from the first place. No, it isn't. Like, he needs to beat Frisk so he can remove Frisk from the timeline for a moment so he can get control over the timeline, because Frisk's determination is too powerful for him to just completely overwrite. So he needs Frisk on so he can actually get control of this timeline so he can go back to this point in time. At which point, Frisk and you will try again to get back to this point just for it to happen again. That's kind of the idea here. So no, it doesn't contradict anything. The thing is, even after that ability, Azrael explicitly states that Carl's life will end here, in a place where nobody remembers them, implying that the timeline is indeed still there. Not really. I mean, because there are other people there. They're inside Azrael. Everyone's inside Azrael. How can there be anyone to forget you when the timeline, in the time where they remember you is literally gone? This is only with the fact that the world was ending and Frisk you already shown. Again, everyone was inside of Azrael at this point in time. As long as Azrael existed, everyone else was there. Why would he be cleansing the timeline? Well, this is pretty straightforward. Azrael purging the memories. He directly uses progress and memories as the way on the journey. Frisk loses, the more control Azrael gains. Yes, to say purge is equal to that of destroy is missing the whole point of the context of it. No, it's not. He wants to get rid of that current timeline and make a new one. Every time the game restarts to the beginning, it is a new timeline. Actually, every single time a save point is made, it's a new timeline. Like, Sans confirms this during his genocide fight. So what are you on about here? Now, there will be counterpoints towards this argument, but the fact of the matter is that these do not explain the fact that even before and after this fight ends with Flowey says he'll do matches. Says he'll do matches? What? Up exactly what Azrael does at the end, and the end of the game, showing that there is still a timeline present. He recreates the timeline. First off, Japanese, however, this point is fully irrelevant for many reasons. The legend of localizations in themselves are without a high level of CC what cooperation. Why is there two C's there? Between creators and localizers, reference can easily be lost in translation. This is obviously indicated here. So are you just arguing that's just a bad translation? I'm gonna need some reasoning for that. That's a lazy argument. And to end it off, the Legends of Localization book itself agrees with the fact that even the Underground was still there once Azrael got defeated. I'm out of words. So the person who has the ability to destroy and recreate timelines in a weaker form would recreate the timeline like he promised? That's your argument? Yeah. Yes, of course it's still there. To this. At least the main character reaches the end of the journey. All that lies ahead is freedom, destruction, delight, or death. The Underground's final fate rests in the player's hands. This is them just talking. This is just them talking about like all the routes all together anyway. This has nothing to do with this up here. What? And this isn't necessarily Azrael. Like destruction. This is clearly genocide. Death, genocide. Neither of these things have anything to do with the Azrael fight, so this isn't necessarily post-Azrael fight. What? The conclusion of the segment isn't that they are wrong about what they are describing as a measurable speed feat. They are wrong because what they described never happened. It did happen. Your problem seems to be the fact that there's a universe afterwards, but Azrael is fully capable of recreating the timeline. Frisky is fully capable of recreating the timeline. Flowey is fully capable of recreating the timeline. And the idea that people like would forget them like is a way to disprove it like in the middle of the fight. Again, they all were in Azrael. Like as long as Azrael exists as an entity, the timeline still exists. Not the timeline, they still exist. Sorry for that misspeak. Okay, so this is just you going over your so basically your argumentation at the beginning was these attacks can't be real attacks because they're magical attacks. Papyrus bones aren't real bones, despite the fact that we see them, and he clearly states that those are what he used for the attack. Azrael couldn't have destroyed the timeline because it doesn't make sense for him to do it because he wants to reset it, despite the fact that he knows Frisk can destroy the attacks that can, and the fact that Azrael should be more than capable of rebuilding them, and the fact that he says like everyone's going to forget him, despite the fact that everyone's currently inside of him, and like you said, he wants to restart the timeline and remove everyone's memories anyway. So even granting that, like the memories would still be made to forget them because the timeline would put back to the point where like they wouldn't have remembered, which doesn't prove that there's still currently a timeline anyway. So in conclusion, your scale is just kind of weird. You seem to take great liberties in what you're describing here. So yeah, Ken out. Have a good day.